it's not always about time management. It's about energy management. You never feel good about the work that you do when you're tired.
Hey everyone, this is Nazar Akil from Max Pro.
Hi, I'm Linda.
And I'm Paul.
And we're 11 Pebbles.
Hi, this is Lopa Vandermersch from Rasa.
Oh, you're listening.
And you are listening to the E-Comm Show.
Welcome to the E-Comm Show, presented by BlueTuskr, the #1 place to hear the inside scoop from other e-commerce experts, where they share their secrets on how they scaled their business and are now living the dream. Now, here is your host, Andrew Math.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the E-Comm Show. I'm your host, as usual, Andrew Math, and today I am joined by the amazing Warren Lee, who is overseeing many different things. Boomn, who's overseeing Glimmer and flavored PB brand, right?
PB Co.
And Sunga Life. There's so many different brands, and so I'm gonna pretend that I know nothing at all, and I'm gonna let you give us a little bit of an intro here. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then obviously the many different brands that you're overseeing right now.
Sure. So I came into the e-commerce world after a decade of running a company doing events. I saw that you were in the event space for a little bit, doing some artist bookings. And if for anybody who's ever lived that life and gotten out, it's really nice being on the other side.
Yeah.
Did 500 parties in 2019 and was in school doing the MBA program because I wanted to. A lot of people get their MBAs for a few different reasons. I got mine because I wanted to switch careers and get out. So that worked out really well because I met my business partner who was getting his MBA. He was a Navy SEAL, and he started this apparel brand called Sunga Life. And we used that all through UCLA as like group projects and actually as our master thesis and a ton of other things. So we grew that brand through school and then upon graduation, and did that for the past couple of years. And after a few years working with him, I wanted to try to work with marketers and other people on a higher level. So I, for the first time in over a decade, went on the job search and found Boomn through the CEO spoke at a conference I was at. And so we connected. They let me join their team, which was super exciting a few months ago. And so now I'm working with them on Glimmer, which is a functional beauty products brand specializing in hair masks, and Flavored PB Co., which makes flavored peanut butter powders where you just take the powder, add water, and then boom, you've got peanut butter. And they've got a really great model that I think a lot of e-commerce companies end up at, which is they were running some brands of their own, and they just get so good at the marketing side of it, which is most of the game that we're playing, that they're like, oh, we should have an agency. We should have clients and do this for other people and make money. And then they started doing that. And they're like, we should maybe get equity in these companies. And they're like, we should just buy companies. So they're like a little bit of a holding company. A few of the brands that they own, I run 2 of them. And then they have a few clients as well, and have different deals in different levels worked out with them, basically.
Gotcha. So when you say you run 2 of them, what is your role for those 2 brands?
So it's
flavored PB.
It's fun because it's a little bit of what I've done my whole career, which is just solving a lot of the entrepreneurial problems. I do a lot of the marketing, which is a big part, but then dabble a little bit in the product development, dabble a little bit in the customer service, dabble a little bit in some of the dev stuff, but mainly getting people on the right path for those things. But the thing that I'm really focused on lately is just building new creative, getting more creative made, testing creative. The more, the better, basically.
Beautiful. So very much heavy on the marketing side, correct?
Yeah. I mean, it's heavy on the marketing side because at the end of the day, as long as you're not running out of stock and you have a good product, the marketing is all that matters, right? You could even have kind of a mediocre product and, still do pretty well with this if your margins are good.
So you're also doing Sunga Life. What's your role there?
So with Sunga Life, I've taken steps back from doing a lot of the operational stuff that I'd helped spin up And with them, I basically just advise on like the marketing campaigns that they're running. We've hired a lot of other people to help us with like the email side, the ad side, the everything side. So I just check in with them here and there and make sure that you know the wheels haven't totally fallen off. And then like on the finance side, which is like something that I've been the finance side is something that I'm like more literate in than I think maybe some other people, just like going through school and like having run a business for a long time, doing all the finances myself for the first few years. I just, one of the things with Sunga Life is I make sure we're not going to like have a cash problem, especially as like it's mostly a swimwear brand. So we make sure that we don't wake up in September with like, too much inventory and not enough dollars.
Yeah, makes sense. So with Glimmer and Flavored BP, two very different brands, two very different companies. How are you managing going from one brand to another if the marketing strategies are obviously going to be pretty different?
They are different. And there is like the thing that I've noticed lately is there's so much switching costs when it's like you're trying to be creative and like manage creative people and come up with original ideas and then also like filter through some of the best ideas that are already out there. Um, so how do I mean managing them both, like I'm doing my best with it, but it's hard to switch back and forth, but I'm getting better at it as I go along. And I try to, like focus more on one or the other each day.
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of time blocking, which helps like keep those times separate. But for the most part, it's like the strategy at the very very highest level is the same in the sense where it's like how many ads creatives can we be testing this week? What's working? What's not working? How can we iterate on the ones that have done well? What's next? Maybe certain like big campaigns like new flavors for flavored PB Co, like those take up a lot of bandwidth. But switching back and forth, I feel like, I mean, you probably are used to this in ways since you've got an agency, like you're switching between clients and all of a sudden you're thinking like, like we're doing apparel and then we're doing CPG things, and so you get kind of used to it, I think.
So you mentioned time blocking, which I think is a very underutilized aspect for any business owner and definitely any marketer, because you kind of want to set time aside for the creative aspect, right? Because you're always looking at the data, what's working, what's not working, is everyone
Yeah.
doing their job, that kind of stuff. But what is your process for time blocking and setting time aside for being able to get creative with everything?
The one thing that I definitely do is I set aside time every week to do just original creative work on both brands, at least 90 minutes per brand per week. So that's just dedicated time where I'm not taking meetings. It's in the morning when I'm the most focused. That's like, it's not always about time management. It's about energy management. Like if you're a morning person and like you're your best self when it's like 7 a.m., like try to like schedule the harder things to do then. And I think the creative work just really you never feel good about the work that you do when you're tired and you're trying to make like a new creative or come up with new copy or put together like a new script or whatever. So I do a little bit of that, but then one thing that I've been doing lately, because I just have so much going on, is if I'm talking with somebody, I'm meeting with somebody, and it's like, okay, I'll do that, I will put it in the calendar like while we're talking, usually on Zoom. So I can just like put it in the calendar like immediately, even if it's like right after the meeting or later this afternoon. And then what you'll notice when you do a lot of time blocking is certain things don't get done. That's just part of life. And you end up like dragging them to the next day or dragging them to the next week. And they follow you around like this task that like you really need to get done, and you can never find the time. And then eventually like, you and that block of time get to hang out and meet and like finally like do the deed, and it's a beautiful thing and things get done and you move the football forward. um but yeah, I try to put almost everything like that in my calendar when I can. The, I used to do handwritten lists. I know a lot of people like that,
Yeah.
but I feel like the list is infinite, whereas like my calendar is not.
Yeah. So between these two brands, you're setting time aside to be creative, but because they're two very different brands, I imagine the creativity's got a little bit different. And then, of course, I'm imagining probably the channels that they're doing the best on, at least from a digital perspective, are different. Is that correct assumption, or is there like one specific channel where you're like, no, both brands actually do real well with X?
Well, we definitely specialize in meta ads, so we're pushing on those really hard. But like the difference is like people are searching for the search for flavored peanut butter is like not so competitive. So like we do well on
Yeah.
Google there. With Glimmer, not so much. We also do flavored PB Co on Amazon. Glimmer doesn't really belong there at this stage, and maybe ever. Like beauty products on Amazon is sort of a tricky spot to be,
Tough.
depending on
Yeah.
what it is. Um, so yeah, and I think like when I'm trying to wrap my head around like building these new like creatives and trying to get into the flow, like like I take a lot of notes into Notion, and I'll try to find like one or two angles to hit, right? So with like flavored PB Co, it's like, are we targeting parents that are buying this for them for their kids, or are we targeting parents who are buying it for themselves, right? Like two different angles. So it's like, okay, pick one of those angles, and then um, okay, great. So we're targeting parents who are buying it for themselves. Like, are we trying to like get them to buy it because it's like good for them and it's healthy? Or are we trying to get them to buy it because it's quick to make? Or are we trying to get them to buy it because it's like tasty? It's like, okay, well, why don't we go like tasty for this next creative? It's like, okay, cool. Parents who want something tasty. And then that's like the initial, like a little bit of constraint really helps with creativity. So like put those two constraints together and then figure out like what's your hook, how are you going to agitate the problem, like what are the steps that need to come together. I try not to get too far into the weeds on what are the shots we need, like what should the talent look like which like influencer content creator should we use this time. Like I try to leave that up to
Yeah.
the creative team, but trying to get the ideas together in the script, that usually comes from me, or at least like it's directed by me for a little bit.
How large is the team that you have helping you execute all this?
There's a team of about 25 people plus some other vendors that, like work on like different channels. And then of course there's like on the Glimmer side, there's manufacturers that, obviously
Yeah.
we do not own, things like
Yeah.
that.
Okay. What aspects are you keeping in house versus what you're outsourcing?
The things we're keeping in house are the video editing. Um, video editing, although a little bit of that gets outsourced when the editing team like gets overwhelmed, which happens like consistently because we make so much creative, and
Yeah.
they're rock stars. There's just a lot to keep up with. And then we also keep in house. We have a on staff copywriter. We have on staff videographers, photographers, so that for some of the product shots that we need, we can just work with them directly. One of the videographers, and he's an editor on the team. He'll actually like make recipes. He loves it. And he'll make like really cool recipes, and we'll be able to put that together. We do outsource some of that too. We have an in-house customer service team. I think the sort of the big ones. Customer service team's a huge one too, because it's like they're always communicating with us. I know a lot of other people have theirs outsourced. Sunga Life, our customer service team is outsourced, but it's nice to have those people on the team full time. Talking with us like every day about every little thing.
Yeah. You mentioned flavored PBCo's got a decent search volume that they're able to get some traction out of Amazon. Are you doing anything from an omni-channel approach of, kind of leveraging both platforms simultaneously, or are you kind of choosing to keep them very separate between the website and Amazon?
We do keep them separate, but we're about to go do the thing where you start advertising on Google, your Amazon channel.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, word on the street, and maybe this is an old word on the street, but it's new for me. Amazon likes it when you send them traffic from Google. So, that's like, and what's interesting is like one of the more searched one of the better search results that we get for flavored PB Co is peanut butter on Amazon. So like someone will search for that and then click our ads, which is kind of funny. But it just goes to show, like, with Amazon, like,
Yeah.
like the biggest search engine in the world, or I don't know, maybe third after YouTube, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, so I've actually done a good amount of that kind of stuff, right? Driving traffic from off Amazon to Amazon. There's a lot of pros and cons with it. There is a benefit. You can get the organic improvement, but you also think if you're driving a ton of traffic and it's not converting as well as you'd like, it actually can hurt you. So you have to be like kind of wary on who you're sending, what terms you're going after, and make sure they're going to convert. Otherwise, it makes your conversion rate fall, which actually hurts your organic ranking. So it can be very beneficial. I've seen it do great, but I've also seen it go the other direction, which is why Amazon started doing that buy with Prime option that they've got now, and started implementing that so that you're not benefiting from the organic side, but you can still benefit from like using FBA and all that. But I digress. Okay, so obviously we talked about the Meta side, we talked about the Amazon side. The two are very different, although I would say the two probably both benefit from like an influencer marketing side. Have you gone in that direction at all?
Yeah, we do quite a bit of influencer marketing with Glimmer. That's gone super well with some of the influencers. It's gone, just like everything, you experiment, and like it's interesting to see, like, it's interesting to manage those campaigns because you care a lot about your brand and you want other people to care too, especially when you're like writing big checks for just a few posts.
Yeah.
So communicating exactly what you want while still, like, giving an influencer like room to breathe and not being too overwhelming is where we've landed with that. And we have found some absolute rock star influencers that have been like a game changer for the business. But the thing that I'm going to try to focus on, like, going forward is, like, let them do their thing. Also, like, really hope that Instagram actually does let us do links and reels, which is a feature they're supposed to be rolling out soon. Would be nice. So, but let them do their thing. But then in every contract going forward, what I really do need from them is like the day after results on their side, because we could give them an affiliate code, or we could, do things through like a share sell affiliate thing, whatever. But it's nice to see like how many clicks they actually got through on Instagram and then compare that with the results. And I think that, like, that alone will, like, and Instagram's weird, right? Because like sometimes they'll post something and they'll get like like thousands and thousands and thousands of, like, engagement, but sometimes they'll post something and they won't. So, maybe we got unlucky, but I want to see the numbers on their side before, like, we decide to work with people again. Because if not, it's hard enough to get the metrics on our side. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It sounds like you're pretty much consistently paying influencers. You're not doing anything from like a seeding direction where you're just sending a product for free.
We're trying to do a mix. So, like, that's one thing that, like, after seeing people do this a few different ways, it's like, there's been some, like, people who are influencer. One of the influencers we found was somebody who was just a customer, and she's been amazing, right? So yeah, it is genuine too, and I swear it's like a online energy thing where, like, if somebody genuinely loves your product, and they do because they're a customer and they actually love it and they actually want to tell their audience and they actually, like, believe in it as much as you do, like their post is just going to do better because of, like, the magic of, like, humanity or something. It's just like, I think that there's a lot of opportunities there, but it's like, if somebody tags you in a post and you look and you're like, oh my gosh, this person has like 1 million followers, like, we should get in touch with them. Like that process, like, that's where like being a good manager comes in, like building that process, like every little step, like we've got, I built out an Airtable with like a lot of different ways to, like, follow up with people and rank people and, like, make sure that like conversations are being had, and I can take a look and like from the top level and make sure that people that I said that we should connect with are getting connected with, and just like moving forward that like kind of seeding thing. And then also like people who we think are interesting, like they're in our, call it like an influencer CRM. Highly recommend Airtable for this if you want to go beyond Google Sheets, which is totally fine, but just it's just better.
It's just better.
Like it's just better. I mean, like once you do you use Airtable much in your life in your world? Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's like once you've used
Requirement.
Airtable. What do you say?
It's basically a requirement at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I've done Airtable for a few projects on like other things. Like I volunteer for like this political org, and I tried to get them to use Airtable, and they are using it a little bit, but like someone gave me so much pushback. She's like, "This would be so much better as a Google Sheet," and I was like, "But it wouldn't for like all these reasons." And anyways, I digress. Airtable's not paying me to say any of this, but like if people haven't spent time in Airtable, that's like the next best tool you can learn. Like change your life. Anyways, so we have like we have an influencer CRM that is all in Airtable. It's nice because it's customizable. The whole team can work in it. Customer service team can work in it. Our content. She's like our like content curator. She works with a lot of influencers. She's in it. I'm in it. And then it's like like someone will like find somebody and be like, hey, like this person would be great for Glimmer. It's like awesome. Like that's in a group chat, like on Slack. Like how do you actually like take that idea and like do something with it? So like building the process for that has been something that I really like to see come together, and it's doing pretty well. And so that's the longest way possible to answer your question. Are you doing organic seeding?
Sponsored by Airtable.
Yeah.
So, all right. So you're involved in Sunga Life. You obviously are overseeing the two brands in Boomn. You've owned your own brand before.
Yeah.
What is it that is motivating you? Like, what's kind of the thing that gets you up every morning and keeps you moving?
When you end up at like parties and you introduce yourself, or people are like, what do you do? Or what do you like to do? Depending on where you're at, like depending on how like artsy the crowd is, like, you give them different answers. But my favorite answer to some of that is like, I like to build things. Like, I feel like in another life, I probably would have been an engineer. In some ways, I guess I am, but it's getting to do this work is really interesting because you're building something like just from you come up with ideas and they actually like get to be put out there in the world. And it's a game that you play where if you put it out there, like dollars come back, and then jobs get made, and then people are able to do interesting things with their lives like outside of work. And I just love like seeing stuff get built. I love seeing like processes get better. I love um I love seeing people like work together like in a way that like everybody feels better about it than it was before. Like those things I think are more exciting than the money. The money's been great, and it's nice when you can get like a high ROAS on things, and it's like you feel like it's like when you're like doing well in the stock market or something, you're like, it's like too easy. It's just working. Like the bank account's going up. That is neat. But at the end of the day, like, I don't know. I think almost everybody like feels a sense of fulfillment when they build something new in the world. Whether it's art, whether it's a business, whether it's whether it's a family, whether it's name your thing. I think a lot of people like. I think that's what makes everybody tick at the end of the day, and it's important.
Yeah. Beautiful. I would definitely agree with that. Warren, thank you so much for being on the show. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. Obviously, really appreciate it. I'd love to give you an opportunity, let everyone know where they can find out more about you and more about everything that you got going on.
Nice. Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn under Warren Ryan Lee. Sunga Life is Sunga Life, Glimmer, Flavored PB Co. on all the socials, mostly Instagram. and then of course all their websites too. If you use the code I know Warren, you get discounts. So there you go.
Nice. There you go. There you go, listeners. Warren, really appreciate it. Thanks so much for being on the show. Obviously, everyone else who tuned in, thank you as well. Please make sure you do the usual where you rate, review, subscribe, all that fun stuff on whichever podcast platform you prefer, or head over to ecommshow.com to check out all of our previous episodes, or to check out our 100th episode that's going to be airing live on August 30th, which is going to be super fun. Warren, I hope to see you there. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us, per usual. Thank you, Warren. Thank you. And we'll see you all next time. Have a good one.
Thank you for tuning in to the E-Comm Show. Head over to ecommshow.com to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform or on the BlueTuskr YouTube channel. The E-Comm Show is brought to you by BlueTuskr, a full-service digital marketing company specifically for e-commerce sellers looking to accelerate their growth. Go to BlueTuskr.com now for more information. Make sure to tune in next week for another amazing episode of the E-Comm Show.